So, my talk is apparently called Simple Isn't Easy, but it's really just an excuse to tell you how to design the electrical mains in your house. So I should first of all say, I am not an electrician. Don't take any notice of what I'm about to say because it may go horribly wrong. Everything which I'm about to say, I basically learned from this article on the internet, which is much better and much funnier and much more accurate than what I'm about to do. So go and read that if you have a chance. So imagine that we want to design a nice simple plug socket. So we just have sort of two ends of the wire, and then we have two prongs, nice circular prongs, to plug our things in. So we can plug in light bulbs, we can plug in fridge freezers, and we can plug in gramophones. And this is alternating current, so there isn't a plus or a minus.
Gramophones are white.
This one isn't. So there's no plus or minus here. The record player then, disguised as a gramophone. So yeah, this is alternating current, so there is no plus or minus. So those two prongs are sort of roughly equivalent, there's no negative, no positive. As this, you'll find, if you just wire up your house like this works pretty well, except for the fact that occasionally, when you try to use your record player disguised as a gramophone, you get blasted by massive foot-long sparks. And whenever this happens, you think, this isn't so good. The reason for this is that it turns out that in the atmosphere on Earth, there's always a bit of negative charge that's flowing upwards. So what you've done is you've converted your house into an enormous capacitor. And on occasion, this enormous capacitor decides to discharge itself through you or through your loved ones. So this isn't so good. Also, all that charge on the Earth going up means that occasionally it comes down in the form of thunder and lightning. This isn't also so good if it hits your house, because then it will discharge that lightning through you and your loved ones. So the solution is, well, we could try and earth the thing. So we earth both sides of the wire. That way, anything that builds up inside your electrical system, when you get hit by lightning, gets discharged straight to ground. This doesn't work though, because what we've essentially done is just short-circuited your plug socket, which means that yes, there's no more getting struck by foot-long sparks everywhere, but also the plug socket doesn't work. So what we do is we only ground one of them, and then the one you ground is called neutral, and the other one is called live. And so this works a bit better, but we've solved one problem but made another. So with our original system, when you grabbed one wire, you were pretty safe. It's only if you grabbed both ends of the wire that you're probably going to electrocute yourself. Now, if you just touch the live wire while you happen to be standing on the floor, well, then you complete the circuit, short circuit the plug socket, you get electrocuted. So this is a good idea. So the way we fix this is we give the live wire a different colour. We go and train our electricians and say, be very careful with the live wire. We tell it to children in schools that make sure you don't touch the live wire. And we just generally drill it into everyone. That wire is dangerous. And then maybe we also change the sockets, so it's obvious which one's live and which one's neutral. So this is so far so good. Except if you throw your toaster into a bathtub, then suddenly you're going to have the problem that if you go into the bathtub as well, then because you're basically made of salt water, you're a better conductor than the water in the bathtub is, and decides to go through you and through your heart. That's bad. Also bad if you have any loose wires inside your toaster and it has a metal case. So if your live wire gets loose, touch the metal case, you touch the toaster, and again you complete the circuit, short circuit the socket, and you get electrocuted. So none of these things are very good. One way of fixing this, you could say, is, aha, well, I know my neutral is grounded, so if I, say, attach my neutral wire to the metal case of my toaster, then everything will be fine. Because if any charge happens to build up in the case for whatever reason, then it just gets discharged down neutral. The problem is that on occasion, what's probably going to happen is someone is going to miswire your plug socket. And then what you've got is a toaster which is permanently dangerous, because it's permanently wired up to the line. So what we really need is a way to make really sure that we're actually connected to the ground, which is why we then have prong number 3. And we connect that one to the ground and nothing else. We connect that one to the case of our toaster, and now anytime any charge builds up in our appliance, then it just gets discharged straight to ground, and it blows all our fuses because there's a short circuit and there's too much power going through. Great. Unless, of course, the fuse doesn't blow because there's too little voltage going through to blow the fuse. Sorry. So what happens then? Well, then we think, aha, what's supposed to happen when you have this system is that whatever goes in and out of neutral should be the same as whatever goes in and out of live. So all we do is we have a little system which essentially finds the difference between them. And it should be 0 because they should be the same. But if they're not 0, then something has gone wrong somewhere, and so you essentially just trip the electrical system and turn everything off. And that is pretty much how you design the electrical load in your house. So despite the fact that you're trying to do something very simple, it was by no means easy.